Alright, ladies and gentlemen, finally getting to the third game that I promised you guys all in my announcement video. A game that I'm getting a second chance to do on here on the channel. One of my favorite games of the genre. I'm just letting the atmosphere sink in a little bit. AM2R, The Return of Samus. And if this opening song right here is any indication, this remix right here is a perfect indication of how amazing this remake is. AM2R stands for Another Metroid 2 Remake. It is a fan project, quote-unquote. It's a fan project. By definition, a fan made it. That fan being the screen name of Dr. M64. Real name is Milton Guasti. He is an Argentinian, wow. Can't believe I just said that. He's from Argentina, and he is he's a game developer. And for 10 years, this was his passion project, a remake of the second Metroid game for the GBA, or not GBA, the original Game Boy, all the way back when it was first released. And what started out as a simple, small project turned into this, and over the course of 10 years, and it's just fantastic. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about that as we go on. That was my practice file somewhat. But something I want to mention right now, with it being a fan project, or quote-unquote in this day and age, is that us gamers, we like to have a lot of options. And just about everything you can imagine is an option, from how you aim, whether you do it the Super Metroid style or the Zero Mission style, your missile select, the classic morph ball, etc. And everything is customizable to your buttons, whether you're playing on a keyboard or a joypad, PS4, Xbox controller, or otherwise. I am using an Xbox controller. I know I'm going against my own religion here, but to be honest, it's the only controller I could get to work with using the D-pad. It's doable with the C-stick, the control stick, but the thumbstick, but I prefer a D-pad. But this is how I have my setup laid out. This is how I've organized my buttons. It's just how I'm comfortable with it, how I found most comfortable. Just wanted to show you guys what my settings were before we jumped into the game. But with all that being said, we've got a lot to go over here in the beginning. So I say we just jump right into it. This is one of my favorite games of the Metroidvania genre. It's one of the games that got me into the genre in the first place. And like I said, I'll explain that as we go. But we're going to play on normal for this. I have done easy mode, I've done hard mode, and hard mode, unfortunately, it actually does give the bosses and whatnot new strategies, somewhat new attacks from my memory. But it also makes them, bullet sponges, and, they hit like trucks. So, yeah, we're just going to play on normal mode. So, without further ado, let's get this going, ladies and gentlemen. AM2R, The Return of Samus. Let's do it. Metroids. Numerous incidents in the past have brought to light the highly destructive power of these life forms, spreading fear across all known planetary systems. Little do most people know the CHOZO were the actual creators of them. Oh wow. Hoping to secure peace in the galaxy, the Galactic Federation orders the extermination of the Metroid species. I was the best candidate for the job. Arguably the most intelligent decision the Galactic Federation has ever made. Once again, I find myself standing alone against the Metroid menace. What horrors await me within the depths of their homeworld? That is not Master Chief, but that is actually Nintendo's Master Chief long before Master Chief was ever a thing. This is Samus Aran, a female bounty hunter. A female bounty hunter, one of the most badass females in gaming history. And I cannot think of a better sound effect to start off an adventure, especially a Metroidvania. If we try going left in classic Metroidvania form, we find there is nothing much here. But starting off the bat, two things. I've already said the remix of the title screen song was amazing, and the music throughout this entire game is amazing. But something else to mention, just right off the bat, the graphics, the sprite work, the after images, everything you see is absolutely fantastic. I believe that I believe that people. One guy, even for the most part, he didn't actually get the team until way later. I believe that it took one guy, the passion of one guy, 10 years to do this. It's fantastic. I will not be saying that enough throughout this playthrough, I promise you. But as I was demonstrating earlier, as I will again probably say many times throughout this entire playthrough, with it being a fan project, everything you would want to have in a fan version of the game is here, or not in a fan version, but everything that a fan would want is here. Like I was demonstrating, you can wall jump off of one wall, no problem. Introduced in Super Metroid, taken away in Fusion because it was accidentally in Super Metroid. That's still like up for grabs. How do you not notice that, seriously, in playtesting? But it wasn't there in Fusion. They brought it back in Zero Mission because everyone was like, "Yo, what happened to it, Nintendo?" But here it is. Basically, this goes without saying. Well, here's a secret tunnel down here. I didn't find this until like my 5th playthrough of this game or something like that. I'll be demonstrating as much as I know throughout this entire game. This right here is a save point. Taking bits from other Metroid games, all the Metroid games, qualities of life. A save point not only saves your game, of course, but it also refills all your health and ammo for whatever weapons you happen to have. But everything you can expect to do is here. The one wall jump, the bomb jump. Once we get that, everything you would want to do is here, and it's a lot of fun. But we see that going right of that fork in the mountain shows that we can't progress any further because that stuff is hot. That's hot. But you know what? I think it's a great time for us to actually look at our menu, because this is our map screen, and the map screen is extremely useful, as useful as it was in Zero Mission. This is, as I was trying to say, is Milton Gosty wanted to remake Metroid 2 in the vein of Metroid Zero Mission and Super Metroid, etc. Updated graphics, sound, design, everything. But we have some things here to read. The mission briefing: primary objective, exterminate all Metroid organisms on planet SR388. We already knew that. Secondary objective, something that wasn't noted in-game in the original, but only in the instruction manual. Locate and bring assistance to the Galactic Federation research and rescue teams. We'll see if we can do anything about that in our travels. Let's read up a little bit on planet SR388 real quick. Planetary designation SR388, a remote planet absent on most galactic charts. Federation research indicates it is the natural homeworld of the Metroid species. Its outer crust is hollowed out with massive cave systems which are home to an ecosystem that is yet to be fully studied. The first expedition to SR388 revealed the existence of CHOZO ruins. So the CHOZO were here, and they visited a lot of planets, spreading their knowledge and technology and whatnot. And this is the planet they apparently chose to make their weapon of ultimate destruction. Why? We still don't know. They are apparently a very peaceful race. We're not sure why they made Metroids. Well, we know later in Metroid 4 Fusion, but we don't know yet here. Research team. Oh, we can actually read up a little bit on these guys. For years, the Federation declared SR-388 unsafe to initiate new expeditions. However, after recent orbital scans failed to detect any Metroid presence on the planet's surface, the dispatch of a research vessel was finally approved. The crew's mission was to inspect the region where the species was first encountered and reaffirm that none remained. Their next objectives were to explore nearby CHOZO ruins and study SR-388's other wildlife. Communication with the team was cut off and only a distress signal managed to reach HQ. Of course, because even if they say, oh, there's no life here, there was life there, what happened to it? It's still there. The rescue team. The search and rescue team is an elite combat group consisting of heavily armed soldiers. Their mission, locate and extract any surviving personnel from the missing research team. The group reported finding a specialized energy sensor at the campsite of the missing team. Its data confirmed the Federation's suspicions. Metroids still thrived within the planet. Oh gee, you think? These findings were sent to HQ to be analyzed. While the group continued their search for survivors, contact was soon lost with them as well. Oh boy, I bet we have no idea what happened. Let's read up on the native species real quick. This is actually an in-game reason for why there are quote-unquote regular enemies instead of just Metroids. Basically, this reads that the environment is so hostile that everyone is a predator. And everyone just will attack on sight. Let's read up a little bit on the CHOZO. These were the people who raised Samus and gave us our power suit and CHOZO blood and whatnot. The CHOZO were an ancient and mysterious avian race. Incredibly advanced, they colonized many worlds, spreading their message of peace throughout the universe. I already told you that. There are historical records and legends of the CHOZO visiting other races with whom they shared their knowledge and wisdom. Their brief encounters led many primitive cultures to their present-day glory. Some say they helped consolidate the very foundations of the Galactic Federation, and they're probably rolling in their bird graves with some of the decisions the Federation has made. The fate of this race is unknown. Evidence suggests they slowly vanished from the cosmos over the course of centuries. All that remains on each planet they inhabited are the ruins of their once glorious civilization. And finally, let's read up on our main enemy, Metroid species. The dominant species of SR-388, Metroids hunt for any form of energy found in natural or synthetic organisms, leaving behind deceased husks after feeding. They are highly resistant to conventional weapons and possess great adaptability in foreign environments. Estimates suggest a small number of Metroids set loose on a populated planet would lead to the extinction of any present life forms, probably in a very short amount of time. As such, they've drawn much attention from space pirates who have repeatedly tried to use them as biological weapons. That's hinting to future events in Super Metroid, actually. But, interestingly, as far as the Metroid canon goes, despite what certain creators have to say about it, the timeline is Metroid 1, Prime 1, 2, 3, we don't know about Prime 4 yet, and it hasn't been released, obviously, then to this one, Miss Samus Returns, Return of Samus, whatever you want to call it, Super Metroid, and Metroid Fusion. That is the time. Oh yeah, and Other M, but we don't talk about Other M. Gameplay-wise, it's not horrible, just story. We don't talk about the story. But quick little history. Let's just get this out of the way real quick with AM2R. For those of you who don't know, after 10 years of development and Nintendo not saying a word, Red Door, by the way, always important, and it only requires 1 missile instead of 5 like it did in Super Metroid. But Nintendo not saying a word, finally after this game was launched, 2 days after launch, Milton was hit with DMCA takedown, and all sites hosting the link were supposed to be defeated. But pause that story real quick, because that original Metroid husk that we saw in the cutscene and in the log there, it evolves. And this is the first game where it actually was shown that it could evolve. And we actually got a little bit of lore there. Well, not lore, but actually it's pretty useful. Let's read up a little bit more. I promise I got all this out of the way so that we could do this as we go. But the life cycle. Scans on native Metroids reveal their most common form in prior incidents is merely the species' larval stage, as I just said. That little jellyfish-looking thing. While there are records of extreme mutations triggered by space pirates using abnormal stimuli, that again hinting to Super Metroid, where that was the game's namesake, a super giant original Metroid like that, using all sorts of rays. The Metroid homeworld of SR388 is seemingly the only environment where the species can naturally transform. So great, it evolves. And again, this was only exploited in technically Other M and Metroid Fusion. It's the only other games where evolving Metroids is mentioned. The Alpha Metroid. So let's read up a little bit on this boss, quote-unquote boss we just fought. The Alpha Metroid has gained immunity to cold temperatures. The only way to defeat that jellyfish form was to freeze it with the ice beam and pump it full of missiles. The loss of several nuclei within its green membrane has left it vulnerable to concussive weaponry, so we don't have to freeze it anymore, we can just pump it full of missiles, as you just saw. As soon as the boss or enemy reveals itself, typically a boss, you can hit the pause menu and it'll show you a log like this and typically give you some idea as to the best way to attack it. Like here it says vulnerable to concussive weaponry, hinting that your normal beam won't work. If you didn't already try that and noticed it wasn't working and didn't think to switch to your missiles, this is kind of a, hey, you can switch to missiles, stupid. A plated exoskeleton partially covers it. This organism emerges from its molting larval form. Though aggressive, it's relatively weak at this stage, and its new appendages have yet to grow to their full strength. And now we have one more piece of log to read, but this was not explicitly shown in the earlier game, or in the original game, but it's more obvious here. Earthquakes. The massive cave system is located between two tectonic plates, largely flooded by an extremely dense and caustic substance similar to magma. The recent earthquake has altered the cave layout, and the hazardous substance has drained to lower levels. The cause of this earthquake is unknown. Initial orbital scans of SR388 detected no instability within this region. Mystery. Yeah, ledge grabbing is still a thing. Don't worry. Like I said, everything's here. I don't want to call this a fan project too much because it is a fan project, but this is as much an official Metroid game as anything. I have more fun playing this than any of Nintendo's official Metroid games, and I know that's blasphemous to some Super Metroid enthusiasts. I love Super Metroid, don't get me wrong, but something about this one, I don't know if it's because it was made more modern day and it's more snappy, or if the graphics are a little bit smoother and nicer and whatnot, but it's something about it just attracts me more than Super does. But fun fact, final fact, or continuing with the DMCA story, basically all the legal team took it down, and whether the conspiracy of did Nintendo know about it, let it circulate for a little bit. Because they did have their own Metroid 2 remake in development, as we all know, the 3DS game. But you would think that, if anything, and what actually did happen, is whether Nintendo took it down or not, all it did was increase press for their own game anyway. People bought it just to compare the two. So, I don't know if that was Nintendo's legal team just doing what they had to do, or what the case was, but I don't know. The point is, this game is free to download. Anyone can find it. All you literally have to do is search up AM2R download, which is actually really interesting because this game, while Milton Gosti himself cannot legally work on it anymore, that doesn't mean fans of this very fan project can't work on it themselves. And there's an entire there's fan hacks for the fan hack, or whatever you want to call it. And they've added so much more stuff, that some stuff that was gonna be added if Milton Gosti hadn't been forced to stop work on it entirely, such as fusion mode. But I actually prefer the original version, just because all the extra additions and whatnot don't really add anything for me personally, except for maybe a randomizer, which is a little interesting and fun. But this is easily my most played Metroid game, and as it said, we have 4 Metroids in the immediate area and 54 Metroids in the entire planet. So let's get cracking on that. We can switch to our missiles on the fly with my setup here. I have it so that it's constantly on, and all I have to do is hold the trigger button to switch between if I'm firing that or my beam. That's just the way I prefer to have it set up, and yeah. But yeah, the DMCA thing is weird, and I don't want to talk too much about it. So I'm just thankful that we still have this game, and that it's still easy to find, because, well, you know, once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. Trust me. Even I know that, because I've been a victim of that myself. But a last little fact about that is, likely due to AM2R's popularity and praise, Milton Gosti was offered a position in mid-development of Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Milton Gosti was offered a position to help design and develop the game. So yeah, and he had a big hand in the escape sequences, and especially the intro of the game. So it's crazy, and it's even great things can come from negative situations, and he does know. There's an interview you can find on YouTube that was conducted, but he does know how much people love this game, and that's another reason why I wanted to cover it. Just give this game even more exposure, even for the 5 people I know who might watch this playthrough. But here we have a brand new, or not brand new, but the reimagined area of the CHOZO Temple, the CHOZO ruins, and instead of just being a weird little sound mix, we have again a fully remixed song. I will never stop gushing about the music in this game. It is so hummable, it is so memorable, it's fantastic. We're gonna jump all the way down here because there's something I want to pick up here. This is basically all your first upgrades and whatnot. Here we have classic CHOZO statue sitting down, and he is holding an upgrade for us, the bombs, and yes, we have classic fanfare. And as I said I would demonstrate, we have bomb jumping. If I can, I'm messing up the timing. Hold on. And now that I'm trying to do it on command, it's not working. Recording curse, why do you do this to me? The fanfare will only play the first time you collect an item. So it collected for the bombs and it collected for the missiles. It won't collect the next time we get missiles, though. There's bomb jumping. I just had to do it for a second without talking. So there's bomb jumping, and I use bomb jumping a lot in my first playthrough to find to get up places and whatnot, especially because I didn't have the settings exactly correct for other upgrades that we're going to be getting here in a minute. But we'll head into this room, and it's blocked. Oh no. Oh well, yeah, no, this block isn't inconspicuous at all. Yeah. Hop up here, and these blocks don't look breakable at all. How much you want to bet? Oh, look at that, it's breakable. Oh, secret. Yeah, it's no surprise. There's secrets hidden all over the place, but if basic and gamer senses will allow you to 100% this game. This is a 100% run, by the way. We'll pick up an energy tank there. Basically doubled our health. But yeah, with this is a 100% run, and unlike Doom, where I said that it was a 100% run and I'm missing challenges and whatnot, this is going to be a 100% run. I know how to 100% this game. We're going to jump all the way down here again, just so that we can cover everything. We can always work our way up. This little secret we're not going to be getting to for a while, but just keep these things in mind. These things right here are connected. So let's head into this room. A little bit of a history with me and why I love this game so much. It's funny. Full disclosure, my exposure to this was, well, here we have another upgrade. We have our first beam upgrade, the charge beam. And just like a fun fact, like I said, all the bells and whistles you can possibly imagine. Just like in the Prime games, hold on, let me make sure I'm not missing something. Yeah, I didn't think so. Just like in the Prime games, your beam, charging up the beam will act as a vacuum for other power-ups. And the charge beam, of course, when you charge up fully, acts as a pseudo screw attack. And you can one-shot these guys to show the power of the charge beam. So much brilliant design. My exposure to this was because of Some Call Me Johnny, his review of this game, and he mentioned that this was one of the hardest Metroid games that he's played. And I said, okay, well, a difficult game is a little bit deterring for me because I don't like to have my face slammed into the dirt. I like to play a game and have a good time. I'm okay with difficulty and whatnot, but I don't play too many games on hard mode. For the exact reason that I said at the beginning of this. Most of the time it means enemies are bullet sponges and you get hit like a truck. Something to note though about the map here real quick is that if you notice, items that I've collected will appear in solid white, whereas items I've not collected, where it's like, oh, I wonder where the item is. It's in here. Spoilers. So it's just an easier way to help you get 100%. But I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, with my harder Metroid game, and so I said, okay, I guess I should play Super Metroid and Zero Mission first, and I did. And I think I also played Fusion. This is actually my preferred way to get up here, by the way. Just time it perfectly, and you can get up here, and the blocks will reappear and appear out of like every other order, so you can just slip your way into those crevices and get up here. Or you can bomb jump up here too, or you can wait and get this upgrade, which we're getting a sneak preview at, which we could have gotten earlier if we felt like it, but I wanted to explore the temple first because it's not too important to have that upgrade when you come through here. But as I was saying, oh yeah, by the way, I didn't even mention it, but this room supposedly ended here, but the wall was not completely filled in with white. And oh yeah, if you hold your charge beam and you drop bombs, you can if you hold the direction, you can make it go up. This was introduced in Super Metroid, I believe. If you just let it go, maybe you have to hold it down, but if you just let it go, it'll throw the bombs everywhere. Anyway, I keep getting sidetracked. So I believe I played the original 3 Metroid games first. Zero Mission, I say original. No, I didn't play the original, but I played Zero Mission, Super, and Fusion. And, oh hey, we made it out of the temple. How about you say we go pick up our spider ball? Save first. So then I finally said I wanted to play this game bad enough because it looked so cool and so fun. Like the SNES, these graphics that have these 32-bit graphics that fan projects like Sonic Mania and this game have been perfecting and whatnot are just some of my favorite graphic aesthetics ever. Like, I don't need super realistic cyberpunk graphics or whatever. Just give me amazing after image and like Mega Man X kind of animation and stuff like that. I will be so happy. We can use our, one of the reasons I like having the controls laid out the way that I have them, because in the original, you would have to press down to crouch, down again to go into morph ball, and then down again to go into spider ball. But if you have it on the settings I do, where you can actually do morph ball just by a button press, as well as having your morph ball or your spider ball button be on the aiming button, you can pull off maneuvers like this. And that sense of freedom is amazing to have when you in movement. I actually, in my first playthrough, I originally bomb jumped all the way up here, funny enough. But we saw a Metroid husk, so that could only mean there's a Metroid in here. And I'm gonna take him down just like a chump. They don't take that many missiles to handle. These guys early on are pretty easy. But yeah, so that's one less down on the counter up there. And I could go up there using the spider ball, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. I'm actually going to head back into the temple and go up, because there's still some stuff up here left to explore. If you don't see it filled in and you don't see the white outline, you haven't explored it. We've got a little bit of a puzzle coming up here. But as I was saying, I really hope I can finish this freaking story. So I started playing this game, and I actually went. I got pretty far into it, not really needing to look up anything for how to beat a boss, because I was pulling my hair out or whatever. And I had an amazing time with it. I loved this game. And fun fact, one of the upgrades, which I'll mention when we get to it, I actually never picked up. And it's one of the most important, not important like you need it, because obviously I didn't need it to beat the game, but it's one of the most like essential upgrades that you can imagine in a Metroid game. But we can actually head up here, but guess what? There's actually nothing up here. But if we grab the bombs and headed out that way, we could have bomb jumped up here, or we could have wall jumped up here. Yes, you actually could have wall jumped up here if you wanted to and got the spider ball early, which is the method I was talking about. And just to prove you can do it. See? So, I believe with everything having been got, except for one thing, I'm going to use the spider ball. I'm going to use the spider ball for one more thing. Come on. Ah! There we go. So we can get up here and very slowly, not nearly as slowly as the original game, but very slowly make our way up here. So I did my original playthrough of this game, and I just had so much fun. I had such a blast. And I've tried recording this game so many times. But the weird thing is that despite what Johnny said about this possibly being the hardest Metroid game he's ever played, not Metroidvania, that credit might go to Hollow Knight, which I have played. I have not yet beaten, but I've played it, and yes, that game is hard. But as far as Metroid goes, official fan project or otherwise, Metroid Fusion, in my opinion, is the hardest Metroid game. I haven't played it in a long time, so maybe my opinion of it has changed, but from what I remember, that's still a very hard Metroid game. Now, that could be because my playstyle is hit it fast and hard until it dies, and tank hits if you have to. And that doesn't exactly work for a good chunk of Fusion, because maybe it would have been faster to go the other way. Wow. Yeah, that would have been faster to go the other way. But anyway, there's a missile tank up there, and you can use the spider ball to get it. And now we are as fully maxed out as we can possibly be for the moment. But yeah, I will eventually be covering all the rest of the Metroid games. Don't you worry. This area right here will infinitely spawn enemies, so if you're low on health or anything for whatever reason, you can rack up here. However, there's a save point coming up very shortly, and you can use it to heal yourself up, because we've only encountered one Metroid so far, and there's not a whole lot left to explore up there. But there is something left to explore down here. There's a reason I went up first, and yeah, save point right here, so there's no real reason to grind with those enemies up there. But anyway, yeah, Fusion, my opinion, hardest Metroid game, and I'll be covering everything at some point. But I just wanted to do this one first because this is one of my favorite Metroid titles. It is my favorite Metroid title, period. And I've played Zero Mission, the original Metroid 2, actually. Yes, the Game Boy version, original Metroid 2, Super, Fusion, Other M, and Prime 3. I've not played Prime 1 or Prime 2 yet. But I've beaten all of those titles that I've just mentioned, as well as, well, this one, obviously. And this is my favorite Metroid title. Come on, die. If you, at some point, they will actually start dodging your missiles. So watch out for that, and try not to spam your missiles too much. You do have to make strategic, shots. Kind of. So, yeah, the aura changes very much when you come down here. Actually, I believe I have some, lore to read about this area. Oh, I actually have 2 lores to read. I forgot to read about the Golden Temple. This temple stands at the base of the hollow mountain. The statues, carved stones, and its solid design attest that the structure was built to be a sanctuary, possibly with religious significance. The temple has withstood the test of time, showing the building knowledge and experience of the CHOZO. Scans detect the presence of stationary robotic entities placed at strategic points inside the structure. No control signals are detected. These units are operating autonomously. The enemies that have been firing at us, basically. And to read up on the breeding grounds, that stuff that was hurting us. This area spans a custom-built ecosystem that favors the growth of Metroids. The terrain itself is dangerous. Tendrils growing along the ground release extremely corrosive chemicals. That's what's hurting us. Opportunistic predators and scavengers can recognize this as an ideal feeding ground, taking advantage of injured or dead animals. The presence of at least one Metroid is expected when venturing in these habitats. The tendrils are determined to be an artificial origin. Synthesized through technologically advanced methods, they absorb nutrients from dead matter. They're basically plant Metroids. Fantastic. So, we only have 2 Metroids left, and I saw this room and another room. At this point, you do kind of have enough of a health pool that if you wanted to, if you have a good a shot, you can actually just stand in this stuff and tank hits, tank some damage while you just chuck ammo into this guy. But I'm failing to do so at the moment. Come on. There we go, finally. And they replenish you pretty decently, so not too worrisome. And we have 27 missiles to take care of this last Metroid. And then we can move on with the area, and I think I'm going to call that a part. It's been a pretty significant part. We've covered a lot of ground, and I think it's yeah. There you go. See, it's starting to. They're starting to notice your fire, and they're trying to dodge it. Later Metroids get very good at that, almost to an annoying degree. But with that being done, all the Metroids in the area have been exterminated, and that would be an earthquake. I'm assuming that means we can traverse further into the planet. Yeah, this is a Metroidvania title, and it is pretty open in terms of what you can do. But it's linear in the fact that it's open-ended for the area that you're currently in. It's linear in the sense that each area will open up little by little, which honestly is how I kind of prefer my Metroidvanias. I like a nice open world, yes, but I kind of want some boundary outside of your ability pool to determine where you can go and not go. You know what I mean? Other than the damage that enemies can do to you, I'd like to have some kind of barrier, something stopping me from going too far. And some games do that, some games don't. I feel like this is a decent compromise, this kind of system. It's gotten criticized over the years, but I don't know. I kind of like a little bit of linearity and somewhat of, not guidance necessarily, but structure, quote unquote, to my Metroidvania exploring experience. Keep it in chunks, but let me explore. I'll always keep everything open from where I am currently in the game, and this game does that pretty well, with the exception of like 1 or 2 like sub areas that act as like little set pieces just for 2 minutes. But we get a little idle animation for Samus there, interestingly enough. And if you're wondering why I've been standing here so long, I've been waiting till I was done talking. Let's try and leave. Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, the original Metroid game only had bosses in terms of Metroids. The remake has many unique bosses, at least 1 per area. This guy is the, well, let's read up on some lore. This guy is the Temple Guardian. The Ancient Guardian, sorry. This sentry deploys spiked barriers and corners targets into its firing range. Its archaic design constrains it to operate at low power, preventing simultaneous use of its shield and mobility systems. That's why we can hurt it when it's, moving. Its arsenal consists of energy weapons with unique patterns. 3 or 4, if I'm correct. Yeah, 4, I think. The robot was calibrated to detect foreign creatures bearing stolen equipment. It thinks the upgrades that we picked up in our CHOZO suit are stolen equipment. Recent earthquakes seem to have damaged the traction of the unit and spiked barriers. Despite these complications, it remains a considerable threat. I don't mean to kill the tension of this scene. By the way, there's a way to avoid all of these attacks if you know how to do it. Like, just stand in the middle when he's doing green. When he does that, get out of the way and jump. When he does purple, just duck down again. 2 out of the 4 of them can be avoided by ducking, and the other 2 can be avoided by just moving out of the way. But spoilers, not to kill the tension in this fight, but the spikes will never get you. It's just meant to scare you. But as he blows up, we have defeated our first boss, and before we actually move on, I want to come up here. And this is another reason I like having my control laid out the way it is because... Oh, geez, come on. Really? Is because of this section right here, actually. Really? It'd be nice if you actually stuck to it. And now I can't get the rhythm of this at all. And now I look like an idiot. Okay. You know what? I think I might end the part off here, and I'll come back, and I'll start the part off going when I'm up on the wall up there. Alright, thank you all so much for watching. This has been Crazy Cube Dude with the first part of AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake. So excited to be finally doing this for you guys, and I'm happy to finally be able to do it. I'll see you guys for the next part. Peace out, everybody.